Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Fortney. I am the Assistant AD for Communications and Content here at USF. I'd like to welcome you to the Sobrato Center. We are glad you're here to meet USF's new Athletic Director, Mr. Larry Williams. Following remarks by members of the community today, Mr. Williams will be introduced to you and then we'll take questions from the audience. To start us off, please welcome Mr. Marty Scripp, a member of the university's Board of Trustees and a member of the search committee for this AD position. Marty.
Thank you, Chris, and I'm very, very happy to be here in this fantastic space on campus and to have the opportunity to welcome Larry and his family to the USF community. I was privileged to be a member of the search committee, which identified Larry as our candidate. Larry stood out in the process. He was an elite athlete and competed at the highest level. He had professional experience as an athletic director in the WCC, as well as at a Jesuit university. In addition, the search committee was very impressed with Larry's commitment to the welfare of all USF students and his deep understanding of Jesuit education and the USF missions and values. After playing football at the University of Notre Dame, where he was a two-time All-American, Larry played 8 years in the NFL and earned a law degree at the University of San Diego. He has had a long career in higher education, working as an athletic director at 3 Division I institutions, the University of Portland, the Marquette University, and most recently at the University of Akron. At Marquette, he was actively involved in the university's achievement in competing in the Big East Conference, and particularly in basketball. I know he's committed to the Jesuit values of educating and caring for the whole person, and will bring that to his work with all USF students. Now I'm pleased to introduce you to Kaylee Caldwell, an undergraduate chemistry major here at USF, who is a member of the USF track and field team and president of the Student Athlete Advisory Council. Kaylee also served as a colleague on the search committee. Kaylee?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Marty. As he said, I was honored to serve alongside him and several others in the room on the search committee. Our search committee attracted many candidates from around the nation, and honestly, it was a process that was a lot harder than I had initially anticipated. But one of the things that stood out to me the most was the permeation of our Jesuit values throughout the campus community. When I started here as a freshman, I was coming from a public high school, and I had no prior experience with what it means to marry the Jesuit values with education. And I wasn't sure what that effect would have on me as a person and as an athlete and as a student. But throughout my experience here and on my time with the search committee, where I worked with people from around the campus, what became visible to me is what makes USF USF, and that is the people who work here. And so to be able to help aid in this process of hiring someone of such an important position was really valuable and something I'll remember for the rest of my life, because the people at USF, like I just said, they make it what it is and they make it so special. And I've had such an amazing experience here with my professors and my coaches and my advisors and my teammates and my peers. So everyone here makes it what it is. And it was really, I took this position really seriously, and to be able to be a voice for all students and student athletes was something that was very special to me. So I really appreciated the opportunity to do that. And I'm excited about our candidate, Larry. He brings with him a wealth of expertise and knowledge in athletics, but he also has showed that he is very committed to the student athlete experience and to developing us as whole people. So we're very excited to welcome you, Larry. And without further ado, I will have Father Paul Fitzgerald, President of USF, come up.
Ditto. Callie is just a wonderful representative of our university student athletes. great students first, students really being formed in this Jesuit tradition of being persons for others, persons for and with others, great leadership qualities, a great commitment to those special values. And then I really, I loved everything you said, especially when you said, coaches, professors, mentors, because our coaches and, the athletic department are fully integrated into this educational project, which is the University of San Francisco. So our coaches are teachers first, they're life coaches, and then certainly they're coaches in terms of the skills that you need to win on the court, on the field, but to win in life. And so I'm just really glad that you are such a great example of these 130-something Division I athletes, but also representative of those athletes who are in club sports, who practice, have coaches, put on a uniform, travel, play other universities, represent the University of San Francisco, and represent us really well. And then all the students who are involved in intramurals, and then the students who sell tickets and take pictures and do all kinds of work, undergraduate students as well as students in our Masters in Sports Management program. So athletics is really close to the heart of what we are about. The heart of what we're about is forming young people to be, leaders in society in the future. Kali and Marty, thank you, and all the members of the search committee who had, I forget, 70 strong applicants. There was a great deal of interest in this position, and then, whittled it down to really finding a person who's going to fit right in here at the University of San Francisco, Larry Williams. Larry brings much to USF. He's got that experience already at Marquette. It doesn't snow here, sorry. And of course, San Francisco is not Milwaukee, but it's still a nice place. It's a pretty good city. And the University of San Francisco, for all of our sports programs, we're able to be a place where the city comes together, where people can come and enjoy some really high-level collegiate athletics in an environment that's wholesome. You're not embarrassed to bring your grandchildren. It's all going to be in good fun. But also, you're going to see our student athletes representing, professional, so really good sportsmanship, really good values as a team. That sense of team, that unselfishness of our student athletes is really remarkable. So athletics brings people together here at the university. Prior to the pandemic, I would go to a women's home volleyball game and there might have been 50 students. I went last year early in the season, there were 700 students at a women's volleyball game. We're packing the stands for soccer. With the additional residence hall up on the hilltop, we have room on campus now for all our first year, all our second year students, 30% of our juniors, 30% of our seniors. But, there's a campus culture that's reformed, not just athletics, but lectures, programs, dances, hackathons. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But I'm really pleased with how athletics has brought the campus, especially the students, together. Obviously, they want to support our student athletes. They also want to be with each other. And thank you for making these opportunities to bring our community together. And then bringing so many alumni back to campus. Great alumni like Mr. Bill Cartwright, who is with us today, but who is a member of our community, not just as an alum, but as an employee and a representative of the university out into the community. We remember Mr. Bill Russell, who just passed, and we're grateful that he never played basketball here, but he built this house by those back-to-back national championships. I'll end with a quiz question. During the Bill Russell years, we had 60 straight wins, 60 wins without a single defeat. Who ended our streak?
It's a trick question.
It's a trick question. Bill Russell and Casey Jones had joined the Olympic team, and they came and played us and beat us. So the only one who could beat us is us. Let's keep it that way. Mr. Larry Williams.
Well, thank you, Chris and Kaylee. and Marty, and especially Father Paul. He got me on that trick question during the course of the interview, and I left thinking, doggone it, I should know that. But anyway, it does speak to a number of things that have really stood out to me about this community, and especially its leadership. I'll touch on those in a little bit. But as you get to know me, allow me to offer a few things that will allow you to understand what is important to me. First, I must say, very important to me is my wife Laura Lee and my family. Laura Lee's back there hiding in the back and is now mad at me. Integrity is also very important to me. And integrity is really interesting in that it has two aspects to it. The first is honesty, right? Honesty is very important. But the other element that's often missed is unity, right? Honesty and unity coming together. If it's honest but not unified, it can go in all kinds of different directions. But if it's unified, then we're in really good shape. So integrity is very important to me. And the third thing that I'd cite right now as being very important to me is the true development of one's mind, body, and spirit. Nowhere is that done, perhaps, at least arguably better than within the Jesuit community that identifies cura personalis as a very important element of its education and development of individuals. In college athletics, we have the great responsibility of carrying this on and what a crucible athletics is. But let's shift gears a little bit, and I don't need to mention to all of you, everyone recognizes that we're in a very incredible time of transformation in college athletics. The paradigms are shifting significantly such that there's a lot of questions that race around the minds of you all, of the coaching staff, of the administrative staff, and especially the student athletes. But let's take a pause for a minute and recognize that those paradigm shifts are really around funding the enterprise that we call intercollegiate athletics, especially at the Division I level. There really are funding questions. The real core to college athletics, and I ask you to keep this in mind as we go forward here, is the connection between athletics and academics. I shared with our staff earlier last week a story in my personal history that really solidified for me the very unique nature that college athletics embraces and stands for. It's actually the very kernel of what college athletics is about. It isn't minor league athletics, it's college athletics. When I was a pro, I was in the evening going to law school. And I got myself in a little bit of trouble with the head coach one time when on the road I was studying my torts class. I was called to the mat. And after calming down, it literally took me a half an hour to stop shaking because Laura Lee was pregnant with her first child and I had made the roster. I was a starter. I was feeling really good about myself. But what he told me was, if I ever see you do that again, he being the head coach, if I ever see you doing that again, I'm going to cut you on the spot. You're done. Contract's not guaranteed. I can cut you whenever I want. And if I see you doing that again, I'm going to do it. Well, after calming down and stopping my panic attack, I realized he was dead right. He was absolutely right. That's a professional organization that is incented and motivated to win. But what it also did was embed in my mind an absolute, true, and clear love for what we do in college athletics. The real kernel of athletics at the collegiate level is that combination. It makes us better in both. It made me a better student as a law student, and the studying and the focus made me a better athlete. And we see that played out across campuses throughout the United States, and it really is where I want to make sure that we keep our focus. So last week I got invited, fortunately, to a committee of one of the a committee meeting of one of the board's many committees, and I was asked at that what it was that was special about USF that was attractive to me. And I've got to say that, yeah, I've got many answers to that, but let me cite a couple of them. First, it's the very work that USF does, that development of one mind, body, and spirit. Those other elements of the Jesuit education that are really paramount in the development of young athletes. The expectation that we're going to pursue excellence. The consciousness of other folks on your team and more broadly. The consciousness of your obligation to not just your teammates, not just to your school, but to your community. That whole environment is exactly where I want to be and exactly what needs to exist as we see this college enterprise, intercollegiate athletic enterprise, meander down the road to a whole different form down the road. USF needs to be a player and a voice in that new evolution of intercollegiate athletics. And so I couldn't be more pleased to be a part of that as we look to the future. We can continue to define what college athletics is at USF, and I'll argue better than anyone else. So, what a great environment it is. Secondly, the city of San Francisco. My goodness, Father Paul has mentioned it. I've not been involved, despite what many of you think about Milwaukee. It's not quite as big as San Francisco, but I've not been involved in such a dynamic city. A dynamic. We've got borders on three sides. It's amazing to me how much activity there is here. It is fantastic and a fantastic crucible to teach our young men and young women through sport in this environment. I'll tell you a quick side story. One of the other things that I've really noticed that's really stood out to me is the quality of our student athletes here. So far, I've been able to meet a women's basketball player. I've been able to meet some of the tennis players at the Battle of the Bay. I've been able to meet some of the basketball players on the men's side. First of all, because they're easy to recognize. They're taller than I am, and that's pleasant to look at. And I've been able to meet some of the soccer players. Everyone, to a person, has impressed me by their willingness and their eagerness to say hello, to introduce themselves, to engage. They fit here. They chose to come here because of that. Think of all the corporate life there is in this community. Think about how much those individuals that are on the fields and on the teams now are going to impact not just this city but beyond that because of this environment. That for me is really exciting to be a part of. So that's the second identification that I'd give. And let me give one more, and that is the leadership that you have here at this university has really stood out to me. A man of much experience in this world has really stood out to me as incredibly strong. From the board, certainly to the president, and certainly to the senior administration, we're lucky. Again, a man of many experiences, we are very lucky to be aligned and to be unified in integrity. And I couldn't be more excited to be here with you today. I'd like to invite conversations, questions that you might have that are circling in your mind. And maybe we can begin this conversation and begin this relationship with some conversation now.
If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone to you, and you can state your name and affiliation. Thank you.
Please. You're brave.
Hi, Larry. Great to meet you. Great to have you here. Very excited. I'm Jade from the women's golf team, the captain this year. And my question for you is, you found success as an AD before, a collegiate athlete, in your professional life. What quality do you think reigns highest in finding success to be a leader in all of those aspects of your life?
Oh, thank you. And am I right? student athletes, Kaylee, I think we're very fortunate. I think that that defining success is a incredibly tricky and nuanced enterprise. But I believe that it's unique for each individual. I think there's a success formula embedded in each of us. It's our coaches' jobs, our administrators' jobs, to help us define within you what your success formula is. My favorite sort of mental image is when standing on the mound in the bottom of the ninth, there's a pitcher who's got the bases loaded, and he's got to figure out how to get them out. And a coach calls a timeout, and you see him walking out there, and the coach will walk out and say, remember all of the things that we stepped through. Recall what you're supposed to think about relative to your competition. Here are the elements. Now relax and do exactly as we've practiced over and over and evaluated and practiced and evaluated and practiced. Do that. And yet, and the play happens, pitch is delivered, out of the inning, get the third out, and you see the joy and the pure satisfaction of that experience. It's different for each one. Each individual is what I will argue. That each, and we'll find that in each of the student athletes that we recruit to campus, and we'll try to encourage further growth, and we'll be not just your coach and your mentor and your teacher, but your best supporter as well. So thank you for the question. Sorry for the long answer, but
thank you. I appreciate it.
Each person. Thank you. Now I know this group is not so quiet. Fire away.
Do you have a general benchmarking strategy just as a leader that you come in with? Is it a 100-day mentality? Is it a 1 year or 5 year? I'm just genuinely curious in a good way.
I'm looking at my boss right now. No, I think that this is a journey that starts from day one. And day one for me was the 16th of September. And my general approach will be to meet first with the group that I consider to be of critical importance to the intercollegiate enterprise, and that's the head coaches. We ask our head coaches to be experts in so many fields. They need our support and our guidance, and I need to be on the same page with them. So the first group that I'm going to be cycling through with in-depth meetings is our head coaches. Then the unit heads within the department. I will execute meetings with each of those folks. Along the way, our most important constituent base is our student athletes, and it's my fondest desire to meet with them within the next 2 weeks, have one-on-one meetings with each of those groups within the next 2 weeks. From there, we'll launch into our strategic planning, and I'm talking here more about a tactical plan than a strategy. There's going to be much strategy embedded in this, but we need to be tactical in our approach at this moment in time. And that's a brief view of how I'm looking at the next number of months as I arrive here on campus. Fair enough? Patience. Please. Great to see you again.
Definitely. Thank you. Derek Brown, Senior Director of the Leo T. McCarthy Center, also chair of this amazing search committee. My question to you, Larry, is something simple. What are you excited the most about your new opportunity?
That's almost like saying, Larry, Laura, who's your favorite child? I'll tell each of them they're my favorite separately. But honestly, there are so many elements of this opportunity that are so exciting to a person in my position. I've been fortunate to be on many campuses that have been wonderful experiences. I've been fortunate to be a practicing lawyer in a big law firm. I've been fortunate to be a member of a lot of professional teams that were fantastic, some that are not so fantastic. But each one of those I've learned a lot, and I feel as if this is the culmination of my career, and I couldn't be more excited to bring all those experiences to bear on this moment. My fondest hope is that our current on the field and on the court success will accelerate at a remarkable level. It's going to be hard to improve our academic standing, having looked at some of the history of the achievement of our student athletes. But doggone it, we're not going to slip one bit. We're going to try and eke out that last little bit between 3.6 and 4.0. That's hard. That's good stuff. What I'm tremendously energized by is the opportunity to connect with this dynamic city. Right? Think about all of the corporate force that we have here, all of the thought leaders and world thought leaders in the world of business. How do we get our student athletes, our best ambassadors, engaged with them? How can we bring them to campus and get our individual student athletes out into the community? So all of those things are really exciting. Perhaps the latter would be my most exciting opportunity in front of me.
Thanks, Larry.
Sir, with a fantastic mustache that I aspire to.
My name is Larry, just like you. I'm glad they had the good sense to hire someone. I'm nothing important. I'm not important. I'm just a fan. But college athletics is changing rapidly, obviously, and we all know what's happening with the big guys. How do you see mid-majors like USF? I don't know, getting through all of this? Do you have any insights about what you think is going to happen and why, and
Sure.
Where would we be in all of that?
Yeah, I'm very interested in this subject matter, in part because the newest door open to us is this concept of NIL, name, image, and likeness. That's born out of the intellectual property concept of name of trademarks, copyrights, and right of publicity. That happens to be what I was trained in legally. So from a pure intellectual standpoint, this is really interesting to me. But it's happening in my backyard, and so I think it's really important for us on a broader scale to embrace the changes, because we know what our fundamental core values are. Maintain those core values, but let's exist in this new world. Not just exist, but let's find high-level success in this new world. We're fortunate to have a collective, for instance, that has recently been created and launched. And there's an opportunity for us, because we have such committed alums and devotees to the program, that we can exist in this space. Now, the NCAA rules currently limit some of the things that we can do, but we need to extend our presence in the community through our alumni groups and our folks that will be able to participate at that level and in those arenas. If we do that, we can maintain our voice on a national level, and I think it's incumbent upon us. I don't want to see the great things that happen within this university fall to the wayside. I want us to be able to continue to have a voice on a national level as we go forward. We won't be able to do that if we put our head in the sand and say, oh, that's going on over there. No, we're part of that. We're going to compete at that level. We want to take on the biggest and the best, and so we want to continue our development of our student athletes in that arena. Is that responsive to your question? Thank you so much. Hi there.
I'm Sarah Dole. I'm the head women's golf coach here. One thing that we have found, and this is my third university, there's some challenges between student athletics and the college. And sometimes there's a little bit of friction there. Some of the students and some of the professors are not as supportive as we would like them to be. And I recently was on the reps committee where we've obviously had a couple of difficult things happen in our university and in our athletic department over the last 5 to 10 years. And so one of our goals is rebuilding trust between us and the university. I'm just curious if you have some strategies or some thoughts on that, on what we can do as a department to get those 700 students back in the stands and get 700 people coming to the women's golf tournament, which I don't know if that'll ever happen, but just any thoughts there with rebuilding some trust amongst the USF community?
Sarah, I love the way you've framed that question. You framed it around the concept of trust. And to have trust in another, one has to embrace their integrity. And so the first thing we've got to do coming out of the chute is indeed be honest and be unified. And we've got to show that unity doesn't just extend to our teammates or our athletic peers, but rather our unity is within the university. We're a member of the university. We are not an ancillary operation that exists down the street. We follow the same guidelines, principles, and rules that the rest of campus does. And so our challenge in that regard is to be able to communicate that effectively to those that with which we might have some tension. I won't call it friction, if you don't mind, Sarah. I'm gonna call it tension, and I understand the tension. And in fact, tension is good. It builds stronger relationships. I think that we need to be able to address each of the historical problems that we've had with honesty and recognize where we have fallen short and commit to representing the university in exemplary fashion. And with those efforts successful, I think we will have open doors across campus. Who wouldn't want to talk to our vibrant and capable and fantastic student athletes? I couldn't be more positive about being able to represent them and being a member of that community in those conversations. And I encourage all of our athletic department members to adopt the same position, and I know they have and will.
Do you remember the best halftime speech you ever received at Notre Dame?
Boy, you know what? I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna have to punt on that one, for lack of a better term. I'd like to say there was one that has stood out, but they're probably a little bit more profane than I can accurately describe in this setting. So if you'll allow me to pass on that one in the public setting, I'd appreciate it. I'll tell you a story a little bit later if you'll allow me. Interesting concept of the halftime speech, because the halftime speech is it's like Mike Tyson says. You can have a great plan is great until you get punched in the mouth. So that halftime speech is like a great plan. You get punched in the mouth, you start tasting your own blood. It's about your preparation, and are you really confident in that preparation? Those are the most effective, is when the coach taps back into those conversations and those training sessions and those elements that give the player confidence. That's my belief. So without colorful language, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I have a question. I'm Judy Johnson, longtime member, supporter of USF men's basketball program and graduate of the university. I'm wondering ways that you can involve ex-players, alumni who have played here, to be feeling invited or to feel involved to come back and be part of the, view the games and be involved. And also alumni. I think you touched on alumni chapters. I don't know that they're even active as far as chapters go. Maybe having a reception at Santa Clara when we play down there, but that's about the extent of any kind of chapter that I have experienced recently. So I just don't know, the involvement with, getting the alumni attracted, and particularly student athletes who have graduated, and love seeing them come back.
Yeah, thank you. And it's a wonderful focus on an important element of our community. Those that have gone before us created this platform upon which we stand. To have Bill sitting in the audience here today is a great honor for me. Of course, I liked him a lot better with the Bulls than the New York Knicks. But it's important. It's a really important element of our community. It attracts new members to our community. So, without going into specifics about how we might do it, let me just cite the experience I had yesterday at the men's soccer match. We were playing Air Force on the men's side, and it was quite a joy to walk out onto the field with the championship team, and I'll get the year wrong, the national championship team of '66, and the gentlemen that played on that team who had come together, and to see them, and the jocularity between them and the welcoming that they felt and they provided to us was fantastic. And so we're going to be motivated to continue to bring back teams and bring back groups and try to build the unity that I've spoken about into our alumni and close friends arena, if I can. So without specifics, I'm very motivated to indeed bring groups back. Thank you.
We have time for one or two more questions.
Hi, Larry. I'm Pat Olson, the longtime Don's broadcaster. So I had to ask a question. So you've mentioned the word integrity a lot, and the student athlete. We all know that it's not athlete student, right? It's student athlete. But there's a lot of coaches in here, and there's a lot of student athletes, and they want to win, right? They want to go out and win contests. So how do you compete and win at that high level, keeping the integrity and the development of the student athlete in mind? And where do you see your role in the support of all the coaches in here in their goal to win, but also develop those student athletes that are on their programs?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And boy, I do appreciate the lungs. You've got a good voice. You've got a very good voice. Yes, indeed. When I met with the coaches and staff on Wednesday of last week, I projected on the monitor a philosophical approach that I want to employ as we go forward. And without going into detail about what that includes, I will say that the center pillar is our coaching position. That is, in my mind, the most important part of college athletics. And I mentioned to that group, and I've mentioned before, I'm one of the ones that believe that axiom that says the NBA is a players' league, Major League Baseball, an owners' league, right? Buy as big a team as New York Yankees, Steinbrenner, owners' league. NFL, help me? General Managers League, right? How much talent can you amass under the salary cap? Well, college athletics is structured differently, right? We ask our head coaches, and I've mentioned this already once, we ask our coaches to do an enormous number of things, right? We ask them to be recruiters. We ask them to be experts in their sport. We ask them to be pseudo parents. We ask them to be support people to our student athletes. We ask them to do a lot of things. So how do we support those, or why would we support them? Because they're the most important element of what we do as we try to teach our young men and young women. And so everything we'll do will be to try to give them support. We'll do our very best at raising additional revenue through every means possible in order to give them the elements that they need. Not wants are going to be great, but we're going to get needs first. And we're going to get those things nailed down, and we're going to be very motivated to do that. So I'm excited about, again, this community being able to provide those resources to make it happen. But it's more than just resources, right? It's about the emotional support. It's about the educational support. Are there elements that we can use to help further educate them in their field or in one of the many aspects that we expect of them, we're going to be paying attention to that. They're going to be the focus of what we do, because if they're successful imparting on each of our student athletes their success formula, we'll all be successful, and that scoreboard's going to show it more often than not. We're going to embrace that scoreboard, but we're also going to measure not just the scoreboard today. We're going to measure how the student athletes are impacting the world as they go forward 5 and 10 years down the road. Are they great community members? Are they great people in their profession? Are they great parents? Are they great partners? What are they doing? And we'll measure ourselves by today's scoreboard, but we'll also be looking very closely at how those graduates have done impacting the community. If we do that, wins are going to come, and we're not going to stand too much longer to have Gonzaga run the show. Sorry if Gonzaga's watching, but we're coming.
Any last questions for Larry?
Please.
Phil Smoot, former Yale leader, and I don't need that.
Can we re-employ you?
Yeah. So this is a kind of trivial question based on all the great ones that you received this morning, but are you willing to learn the fight song?
You got me, Joe. I don't know the fight song, but I am willing to learn.
Okay.
I don't have much of. I love it. I love it. I do want to know that, though. I don't even know the fight song to Notre Dame. Cheer, cheer for Notre Dame is about all I remember.
Harvey, you want to do the fight song?
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great ending. Here we go.
All right.
Come on up.
1, 2, 3. On to victory. We're gonna win today. Here's why. For green and gold. Because we're going in to do or die. So win the game today. We're gonna try and fight the old God's way. And with all our might, we're gonna fight, fight, fight. Hey, win, win, win. Hey, on to victory.
That's awesome. What a great way to conclude this welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for all of your support, for being here today. And I really look forward to working with each and every one of you. Let's go Dons.